I was standing in my wedding dress, 36 hours before the ceremony, when a stranger walked up to me and whispered 3 words that changed my life forever. "Don't marry him." I turned around. She was elegant, calm, a complete stranger, staring at me like she knew something I didn't. Before I could even ask her name, she leaned in one last time. "Go home early tonight," she said. "You'll understand why." And then she disappeared into the crowd. Now, I almost didn't go home. I almost convinced myself it was jealousy, pre-wedding drama, a cruel prank. But something in her eyes stopped me. And what I found when I walked through that front door destroyed everything I thought I knew. Stay with me, because this story isn't just about betrayal. It's about bigamy, financial fraud, and the legal rights most people don't know they have until it's too late. My name is Emily, and 8 months ago, I was the happiest I'd ever been. My fiancé, Daniel, was everything I thought I wanted. Charming, successful, attentive. We'd been together 2 years. The proposal was perfect. The venue was booked. My dress cost 3 months of savings. And here's the first thing I want you to understand, because it matters legally later. I paid for almost everything. The venue deposit, the caterer, the flowers, the honeymoon package. All of it came from my personal savings account. Daniel always had a reason why his funds were tied up. A business deal closing, a transfer delayed. I never questioned it, because I trusted him. That's the thing about people who deceive you. They don't look like liars. They look like the person you love. The night of my bridal fitting, instead of going to the celebratory dinner Daniel had planned, I drove home. The house was dark when I arrived. Silent. Too silent. I unlocked the door, and then I heard it. A laugh. Soft. Upstairs. I want you to imagine what that moment feels like. Your heart doesn't just sink. It stops. Every rational thought in your brain screams, "Turn around, leave, pretend you heard nothing." But I didn't. I slipped off my heels and I climbed the stairs. With every step, the voices got clearer. A woman's voice, then Daniel's. Low, easy, laughing. The bedroom door was slightly open. A thin line of golden light cut across the dark hallway. I pushed it open, and there was Daniel, standing by the bed, his arms around a woman dressed in white lace. White lace. Almost identical to my wedding dress. When she turned around, I felt the blood leave my face. It was her, the woman from the bridal boutique, the one who had whispered in my ear. She looked at me and said quietly, almost gently, "I told you to come home early." Daniel said my name, just Emily, like that single word could somehow hold all the broken pieces together. It couldn't. I asked him 3 questions, calmly, because I was done shaking. How long? A few months. Who is she? That's when the woman spoke for herself. "My name is Victoria," she said, "and I'm not just his lover." She took 1 step forward. "I'm his wife." And here's where I need to pause, because what happened next is something everyone needs to understand. What Daniel did has a legal name. It's called bigamy. Bigamy is the act of marrying someone while you are legally still married to another person. In most countries and U.S. states, it is a criminal offense, not just a civil matter. In Daniel's case, he had married Victoria 3 years earlier. Their marriage was never dissolved, which means his engagement to me and the upcoming wedding ceremony was legally void from the start. More importantly, the money I had spent on a fraudulent wedding, that had a legal name too: financial fraud. He had accepted my money under false pretenses for an event he knew could never legally take place. That distinction between heartbreak and crime is what changed everything. I didn't cry that night. I sat at my kitchen table, still in my wedding dress, and I opened my laptop. I pulled every receipt, every bank transfer, every contract, the venue, the caterer, the florist, the honeymoon package, all in my name, all paid by me. The next morning, I met Victoria at a quiet cafe. She brought a folder, messages, dates, financial documents Daniel had tried to hide. 2 women he thought he could control, sitting across the table from each other. We called an attorney that same afternoon. Here's what I learned, and what I want you to take away. Point 1. Document everything immediately. The moment you suspect financial deception in a relationship, screenshot transactions, save contracts, and back up digital records. Courts rely on paper trails. The faster you act, the stronger your case. Point 2. Understand the difference between civil and criminal claims. Fraud and bigamy are criminal offenses. They go beyond divorce court. A good attorney will help you identify which legal routes apply to your situation. Point 3. You can recover money paid under false pretenses. In many jurisdictions, money transferred based on deception, whether in a relationship or a business, can be recovered through civil litigation. Don't assume it's gone. Point 4. Victims of bigamy have rights. If you unknowingly entered a marriage with someone already married, that marriage is void. But you may still have legal standing to pursue damages for emotional distress and financial loss. Our attorney, Rachel, reviewed everything and was direct. This isn't just betrayal, she said. It's fraud, financial deception, and bigamy. He wasn't just unfaithful. He was a criminal. Within days, legal notices were filed. His accounts were frozen. His company received an anonymous tip supported by documentation. Then came the call. "Emily, please, we can fix this. Just talk to me." I let him sit in silence for a long moment. "There's nothing to fix," I said. "Only consequences." The courtroom was quiet the day Daniel testified. The man who once promised me forever now stood pale and trembling, adjusting his collar like it was a noose. Rachel stood and walked the judge through every document, every lie, every transfer, every date. When Daniel was asked, under oath, whether he had solicited my funds for a wedding he knew was legally impossible, he hesitated. "Answer the question." "Yes," he whispered. The judge found him liable for fraud and financial deception. His reputation collapsed. His assets were seized to cover restitution. A separate criminal proceeding was opened for bigamy. And I walked out of that courtroom not with a fist in the air, but with something quieter. Peace. Weeks later, I donated my wedding decorations to a charity that organizes ceremonies for couples who genuinely can't afford them. I watched another bride walk down an aisle with real love waiting for her at the end. And one evening, I put on my wedding dress one last time, stood in front of the mirror. Not for Daniel, not for anyone else. For me. Because I hadn't lost a wedding. I had reclaimed my life. So if you're watching this and something feels off in your relationship, financially, emotionally, legally, please hear this. Trust is not the same as blind faith. Asking questions is not a betrayal of love. And knowing your legal rights is not being paranoid. It is being prepared. Victoria didn't have to warn me. She could have stayed silent, protected herself, and let me walk into that disaster alone. She didn't. And that act of courage, one stranger to another, is what gave me the chance to fight back. So look out for each other, because sometimes the person who saves you is the last one you ever expected. If this story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below. Have you ever had a gut feeling you almost ignored? I want to know. And if you want to learn more about financial protection in relationships, I've linked a resource in the description. See you in the next one.